Hello guys, this is my Ask a Violinist Anything video. I asked you guys on Pinterest to let me know your questions that you have for me, and I'm going to answer those. I had so many questions, so some of them I kind of just like, if they were pretty much the same thing, I put them into the same question, if that makes sense. I had so many questions I can't answer all of them in one video, and I just want to make one video. And then at the end, I'm also going to announce the winner, which is super excited. So wait till the end, or you can also just scroll through. I know some of you will do that, but okay, well, let's get started. First of all, I have to apologize. I am quite sick right now. I have a stuffy nose and a sore throat and everything, so my voice sounds so bad. And I feel like usually it doesn't matter because I'm just playing the violin, but the one day I have to talk, my voice is terrible, so I'm sorry. So let's jump right into it. The first question is, how many violins do you have? I think I have 6 or 7. I have 6 or 7 here with me, and then I have one that a friend is borrowing. I'll do a video on it one time, how many violins I have. And then another question I got was, how many bows do you have? I actually looked because I wasn't sure how many bows I have. So I have 3 bows just here with me right now. Like I said, I have another violin that a friend has, and I think there's 2 bows in there as well. But my favorite bow, the bow that I use all the freaking time, is my Coda bow. Okay, it's not gonna focus, great. That I'm obsessed with, my favorite thing ever. So I had so many questions on learning the violin and when I learned the violin. So I started the violin when I was 2 years old, and I'm 30 now. So I've been playing for 28 years. Was it challenging when you first started playing? I was 2, so I don't really remember, but I do remember one of my little baby violins literally has teardrops on it from playing and crying. So maybe yes. What would you recommend others do to get good? So this is kind of like what I was just saying. If you're learning in your school orchestra and you think you're going to learn how to play the violin in 5 years, you're going to be exactly basically where you are right now, which is really sad to think about. But if you had a private teacher who is teaching you every single week or twice a week, my students see me twice a week, you're going to be at such, I mean, can you imagine if you're having lessons twice a week from a private teacher, and maybe in your school orchestra too? You're gonna be so much better in like literally 6 months. Like, to me, it doesn't make sense to just like fool around in your school orchestra thinking you learned to play the violin. It doesn't work that way. Violin is very difficult to learn. Get a private teacher so you're not just kind of like wiggling your feet in the water thinking something's gonna happen. Unpopular opinion. What inspired you to play the violin? So my mom decided that I was gonna play the violin along with my 4 siblings. So cello, viola, double bass, and another violinist in my family. We all played together. Yeah, we didn't have any choice. Is playing the violin hard to learn? Kind of like I just said, if you're sitting around in school orchestra thinking you're gonna learn how to play the violin, yes, it's gonna be hard. You're gonna get nowhere. You're gonna always sound screechy. Go get a private teacher. It's gonna absolutely elevate your playing. I promise I'm not here trying to like advocate for private teachers or anything like that. I just absolutely promise you that you will see so much growth as soon as you get a private teacher that there's no reason to sit around in school orchestra. Like, it doesn't even make sense to me. That's where I'm coming from. Are you self-taught or did you ever take lessons? Yes, I took lessons my entire career, up until probably 3 years ago. I'm currently trying to switch from flute to violin. Do you have any tips? Oh my gosh, it's so funny. I saw this question. I was like, ooh, I can speak into this. So I decided I wanted to learn the flute. So I started to do the flute, which actually I have to tell you was an amazing thing to do because you start to read those like really, really high ledger lines. So even now to this day, like I can read really, really high notes on ledger lines when like my stand partner is like, what note is that? And I can read it. So I think flute is such an amazing thing for that. So I was really thankful I did that. But if you're switching from flute to the violin, the easy thing is that you already know all the notes. You already have everything down. You already have the pitches in your ear. So just switching to violin, obviously the technique is going to be completely different, but I ended up sticking with the violin and quitting flute actually because I realized that the violin was so much cooler. I mean, like, not even to be rude, but like I noticed that the violin was so much cooler than the flute, and I really wanted to be able to do the diversity that the violin could do. What are the strings? You have E is this little string, A is the next one, D, and G. Those are the 4 strings. What's the hardest thing to learn on violin? I don't know. I think that everything is relative to where you're at. Like if you're trying to learn slurs, at the time you're learning slurs, they're hard. If you're trying to learn harmonics, at the time you're learning harmonics, they're hard. And once you master it, it's easy, you know? So I don't think there's any one thing that's been the hardest to learn. Have you always been able to play by ear? Excuse me. Well, I started when I was 2, like I said, in the Suzuki method, which is basically playing by ear completely, like you don't read any music. Like I don't think I read music till I was like 8 or 9. So you're completely learning by ear and you're developing that muscle. So kind of like as I just kept going, like that muscle was already very, very developed. And so now, of course, like playing by ear comes so naturally to me. Also, I have perfect pitch, so that really helps too. How do you memorize your songs so well? Again, I don't read any music. When I'm doing the songs for Pinterest, I don't read any music because there's no point in doing that, right? It's like I'm learning a song by ear, and to then learn it by ear, write down the music, and then try and memorize the music, that makes no sense. So I just learn it by ear, don't write any music for it and play it. How do you switch from learning by ear to actually playing notes? I'm imagining you mean playing notes as in like reading notes. That's something you don't want to ever switch back and forth. Even when you're playing music and you're looking at music, you still want to be using your ears so much to like if you're playing with other people, to what's around you, to the notes that you're playing yourself. Like you should never think, oh, at some point I'm going to stop playing by ear. If you're playing by ear right now, do not stop doing that. That's amazing. Keep playing by ear. That's the biggest gift you'll ever get playing the violin. What are some ways to help memorize music pieces? For sure, my biggest tip is listening all the time. Listen to them. Like whatever song it is you're trying to learn, listen to it, listen to it, listen to it, sing it. Like literally when I'm learning songs, I'll be like singing it in my head. Especially like when I'm learning these like pop songs for Pinterest, I'll literally sing them and sing them and sing them. So I pick up my violin and I literally play it one time and I got it. What is the key thing to learning to play violin by ear? Doing it a lot. Just keep doing it. That's the only way to train your ear. It's kind of like a muscle in your body. Like if you're trying to work, I don't know if working out makes sense, but if you're trying to work out and you're trying to like grow your arm muscle or something like that, if you're always working out, eventually like it gets stronger and stronger. And that's exactly the same thing of if you're working out your ear muscles, like your memory muscles, constantly doing it, it'll get better and better and easier and easier. How do you do good staccato and slurs? To do good staccato, you want to make sure your pinky is the one that's actually leading. He's very, very strong on your bow, so that when you're doing it, my pinky is kind of jumping up and down, helping me play staccato. Also playing it closer to your frog rather than further down here, because you can't get a very clean sound down there. Slurs is kind of the same thing about like a bow technique, is when you're here at the frog, your pinky is the one that's in charge holding your bow. And when you move it down, the weight shifts to your first finger. So when you're on the way up, your first finger's in charge, switches to the pinky. That makes sense. That helps with slurs. How do you get such a beautiful tone? Honestly, that's a lot of practice and doing it a lot. You'll figure out how to get a better and better tone. Also, it's kind of hard for me to tell you one specific thing to do to help you get a better tone. If I were to hear you play, I could help you. If you could go and see a teacher, they can help you too. That's kind of the best way to do that. How do you stop your bow from screeching? This cracked me up because I just posted my Aladdin video. Go back and watch it because I literally screeched on one of the notes. It's really quiet. You can't hear it super loud, but I was like, oh my gosh, I screeched. But I thought I'm gonna post this anyway so you can guys see that like I screeched too. How to stop your bow from screeching is again, this can be so many different things. So it can be that maybe your fingers aren't pressing down on the string hard enough, so now it's squeaky. The other thing is that if you're not playing in the middle here, you want to play in the middle. As soon as you're too close to the bridge, it's gonna make, I'm not even gonna do it. It makes that terrible, terrible sound. So don't play near the bridge, play right here in the middle. And also figure out the pressure. Is your pressure too hard or is it too soft? Figure out your pressure, and that's another way to do it. What do you think about prelude strings and how often do you change your strings? Prelude strings aren't honestly my favorite. I've used them a few times. I don't love them, but you also have to know what works for your violin specifically. So if they work for your violin, absolutely go for it. I use A Violinist strings and I love those. They're a little bit more expensive, but they're absolutely amazing. And I probably change my strings. Oh gosh, I need to change mine right now. Probably it's been about 2 years, but kind of as I notice that they're like unwinding or they're going false, I will change them. Do you ever get a mistake when you're playing on the violin? Yes! Oh my gosh, all the time. Like I told you in that one song, in the Aladdin song, where I like messed up. And sometimes I you have to go with it. You have to let it happen, allow the mistake to happen and keep going, because if you don't, now you're stuck in that mistake and that's all you're thinking about. So just keep going, let it go. Like, who cares? You made a mistake. What's gonna happen? Someone's gonna come around, excuse me, you made a mistake. Nobody cares, just keep going. Like, do what you're doing, it's great. I'm getting very preachy here. Tips for keeping the bow straight and holding the bow. So you wanna keep your bow in front of your violin like this, thinking about your belly button, like have your bow in front of your belly button. Also play in front of a mirror, that helps too. And holding the bow, if you're struggling with holding the bow, honestly, there's this thing called the Things for String Bowfish that is absolutely incredible. It's freaking life-changing. Get that. It helps you just literally set up your bow perfectly. I've actually done a video about it on Pinterest. It's, if you look way back, like on one of my very first videos, I did a video about it. It's an incredible tool to use. Just fixes your bow hold. Let's do that again. It just fixes your bow hold. Super awesome. When did you learn vibrato? So like I said, I started learning when I was really young. So I think I probably started learning the vibrato about 5 years into it. I think I could have learned it sooner, honestly. I did a video about this as well. So pretty much if you can hold your violin on your shoulder perfectly, great. If you can have a straight wrist the whole time, like you can't have a wrist like this, as soon as you do, like you literally can't do vibrato. And if you can play every single first position note, you don't have to play like that, but every single first position note, you should be able to do vibrato at this point. You don't have to learn third position or anything like that. You don't have to, like, some people say you can't have tapes on anymore. I say just go for it. Like, learn it with tapes on and everything. Just get started on the movement. It's kind of tricky to start learning, so just start learning it. When can you learn vibrato? The same question, like I just said. How long does it take to learn vibrato? Honestly, it depends. So I learned it, like I said, back when I was probably like 7 or 8. And I started learning and I remember I couldn't get the hang of it. And so I literally just practiced it for like days, just like trying to figure it out. And then one day I just got it. And I was like, whoa, my gosh, I'm doing vibrato. And then I got to college and literally my teacher changed everything about my vibrato. So see a teacher, they'll help you with your vibrato, but it honestly doesn't take that long. It's just about getting the hang of it. And I did post a video about how to do vibrato, like the 8 steps to doing it. And it literally works every time if you use that video. How do you do vibrato so fast you make it look easy? The way I think is best to speed up vibrato is to use a metronome. So when you're using a metronome, you slowly speed up the tempo of your metronome with your vibrato. It's kind of a tricky concept, but that's the best way to do it. If you have a teacher, have them show you. If not, I'll probably post a video about it at some point. How do you get good at shifts and muscle memory? Honestly, get tapes on your violin and don't take them off until you're so set with them and you know how to do it. And then the first one you can take off is your first finger. I find that that's the, take off your second finger first, because it goes high and low. So take off your second finger tape first. Once you got the hang of that one, take off your first finger tape once you got the hang of that. But if it's ever out of tune, put that tape right back on. Like, don't keep them off if you're realizing you're actually struggling. Put them right back on, because that's the best way to learn muscle memory. Also, hand structure, making sure your structure is the same every time. If you're constantly like moving your wrist around as you're trying to play the violin, you're not creating muscle memory because you're changing it every single time you do anything. How do you move your fingers up and down the strings? I feel like that is shifts. Oh yeah, and tips for moving from first to third position seamlessly. So the best way to do it is to practice just sliding. So shifts should never be a jump. Ever. Do not jump when you're shifting. You slide. So you go from first position, first finger, to third position, which is where your third finger goes, and back down. Just practicing that right there is the best way to practice shifting. What's your favorite song to play on the violin? Honestly, I don't think I have a favorite, so whatever I'm playing at the time, I'm obsessed with. Oh my gosh. My trash guy is here. He always comes like when I'm trying to film a video. So annoying. We're just gonna keep going through it, okay? Can you play Counting Stars? Something like that. Can you play I Am a Poor Wayfaring Stranger? I honestly don't know that song, so I don't think. Like, I have to know the song in order to play it. Like, I'd have to go and listen to it like 10 times, then I can play it. Can you please do Shallow? coolest slash hardest thing you ever had to play? Coolest. My family used to play together, and I loved the songs that we would play together and write. I thought they were awesome. I thought they were super cool. And we like to make them hard too, because then it was like fun for us. So maybe that. Could you play any Vivaldi? Yeah. One of my students is learning the Vivaldi A minor. Or do you mean like summer? What you mean? Probably that's what you mean. We're going to ignore my trash man right now. Wow. Do you get blisters from playing the violin? No, I've never gotten blisters in my entire life. You get calluses. So kind of like as you start playing, your fingers will build up calluses on your fingers, and that's all you'll get. But once you build up those calluses, like it doesn't even hurt to play the violin. Why do you have to move slash jerk around when you play? Okay, listen. So I could sit here and not move, and you would be so bored. Gosh, I can't even sit still. Hold on, let's see if I can do this. The music doesn't move because I'm not moving, and the second reason is that it's a very physical instrument anyway with the bow, so it helps to move actually, and it creates movement in the music and in your playing. Like that. I don't know, I think it just sounds more moving instead of just like flatlined. Would you say violin is a passion or a hobby? Maybe both. An obsession. I love the violin. It's my favorite thing ever, and I want everyone to learn it and play the violin because literally music makes your life better, and something about playing the violin, playing music, it's just so cool and it makes my life amazing. I love the violin. Sorry, I went on a tangent there. Have you ever used an electric violin? Dun, 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 dun. It's very, oh my gosh, it's so out of tune. It's very quiet. It's called the Silent Violin. This is from Yamaha. I love it. It's my favorite. I play this for like shows where I can plug it in. Is it fun to play the violin? Yes! Oh my gosh, playing the violin is so much fun. It's my favorite thing. Like you can see on my Pinterest that I play like every song I possibly can because I love it. But then I can also play like Vivaldi, or I can play like jazz, anything. Do you play any other instruments? Okay, I have a very intense perspective on this. I want you to be ready. So my thought is that if you're trying to do too many things, you're going to do nothing good. And I feel like that's so true with music. If you're like, oh, I play the violin and the piano and the cello and the trumpet and the clarinet, guess what? How are you going to have time in the day to practice all those instruments? You're not. Even if you practice each of them for 10 minutes, that's like 60, 70 minutes out of your day because you play 6 or 7 instruments. Makes no sense. Whereas if you play the violin only, or you play only one instrument, maybe it's the cello or the trumpet or whatever you play, if you play only that one instrument, that's all you're practicing, you're going to see exponential growth with it. Like, why would you play so many instruments and be terrible at all of them when you could play the violin and be extremely, extremely amazing at the one thing? So that's my perspective on it. So no, I only play the violin. I don't even play the piano. I don't play the viola. Like I only play the violin. Video almost done. Talk more about viola since it's similar to violin. Any tips for viola? So basically, it's pretty much everything that I've been saying about the violin can also be transferred to the viola. The only thing is that it's different strings. So kind of everything I'm saying is exactly the same. So there's not any specific one tip that I could say. I don't play the viola personally, and I will never play the viola because I tried for a very, very short time, like a week. And it was so heavy that I started getting tendonitis in my hand and I couldn't hold it up, and it was awful, and I hated practicing it. My back was hurting, just like everything was a mess trying to hold the viola and play it. And it made no sense to bother to try and do that anymore. So that's why I stopped trying to play the viola and I stick with violin. Violin is the superior being. I didn't say that. Does your husband play any instruments? No, he doesn't play anything. He did try the violin one time. He's actually really good at it. I was super impressed when he tried to play the violin, but no, he doesn't. He doesn't play anything. Have you ever collaborated with a cellist? My sister plays the cello, like I said, so I might do something with her at one point. She's a very, very good cellist, so maybe I'll do something with her. Have you ever been in a pit orchestra? What was your favorite show to play in? Yes, I've played in pit orchestras so many times. I did Sound of Music, Guys and Dolls, West Side Story, so many more, Beating the Beast. I can't remember even all the shows that I've done. There's so many of them. You know what my favorite show to play was though? For sure, Beauty and the Beast. There's a song called Home, where the violin goes up really high, like up to a high C, and it was beautiful. Like the violin part to that song was so stunning. I would just play my little heart out. I loved it. I loved that song, and I probably should play that show like 4 or 5 times. So I've played it so many times. Oh my gosh, that's all the questions. So now we have to announce the winner. Woo! And the winner is, drum roll, Emma Dilly. Congratulations, Emma. I'm super excited to meet you. And to anybody, if you did not win this video, listen, I want to give everybody a lesson. So what I'm going to do is, if you email me at corytheviolinist@gmail.com, I'll put it right here, I will give you a half-off lesson, because I want to see all of you guys and get to help you with any questions you might have and get to meet you too, which is super exciting. So love you all, and let me know if you want to see more YouTube videos, because this is clearly my first one. Woo!